Let's take you and another yoga teacher. You both know that modifications and props aren't enough, but you want to truly help your injured students in your classes, and you both feel frustrated by your current limitations. The other teacher thinks, I know there must be more I can do, but I don't know what that looks like or where to start. I feel like I'm just putting band aids on problems instead of actually helping. You walk into class with a systematic framework. When a student arrives with chronic neck pain, you don't just offer props. Instead, you guide the student through nervous system education, teach her therapeutic breathing for pain relief. You help her understand pain science. You implement movement re education, and you teach progressive loading to help rebuild her capacity. 6 weeks later, the student's pain is noticeably different, and she's telling everyone that yoga saved her life. What if I told you the difference between you and this other teacher isn't years of additional training, expensive certifications, or medical knowledge? The difference is one systematic framework that transforms scattered good intentions into comprehensive healing experiences. That framework? A system for working with injured students. This system helps yoga teachers go from feeling helpless with injuries to becoming the teachers that injured students specifically look for. Today, I'm going to walk you through part of my system, show you exactly how to implement each one, and give you the roadmap to transform every injured student's experiences in your classes. If you're thinking, Monica, that sounds complicated, I barely have time to plan my regular classes, let alone learn a whole new system. And what if this is too complex for my students? I completely understand that reaction. When I first developed this framework, I was overwhelmed too. I thought helping injured students required becoming an expert in everything: anatomy, pain science, nervous systems, rehabilitation, and doing it all perfectly. But what if I told you that this framework actually makes teaching injured students simpler, not more complicated? What if this system gives you a clear roadmap so you never again have to wonder, what do I do with this student? And what if this system is designed to integrate seamlessly into your existing classes so you're not adding more work, you're just being more effective with the work you're already doing? The teachers who have implemented this framework tell me it's the first time they felt truly confident walking into class knowing they can help anyone who shows up, regardless of their injuries or limitations. I'm Monica, and if you are meeting me for the first time, I specialize in teaching yoga teachers how to work confidently with injured students. 13 years ago, I was exactly where you might be now, knowing that modifications and props weren't enough, but having no idea what else I could offer. I watch students struggle week after week, offering the same limited solutions and seeing minimal improvement. But that changed when I started studying pain science, nervous system function, and therapeutic movement. I've since completed over 2,000 hours of continuing education in biomechanics, injury recovery, and nervous system work. But more importantly, I've spent the last decade testing and refining these approaches with real students in real classes and private client sessions. In my Teaching Students with Injuries mentorship program, I work with yoga teachers who are learning to implement this exact system. These aren't teachers with special backgrounds or additional certifications. They're regular yoga teachers who learn to apply systematic approaches to helping injured students. The results speak for themselves. Teachers report that their injured students see measurable improvements in pain levels, range of motion, quality of life, and feel more confident about moving. More importantly, these students stay in classes long term and refer others and are creating sustainable practices focused on healing. Right now, when injured students come to your classes, what happens? Many leave feeling unsupported. Some stop coming to yoga altogether, and others continue attending but never improve, reinforcing the belief that yoga doesn't help with real problems. The average yoga class has 2 to 3 students dealing with some form of injury or chronic pain. If you teach 10 classes per week, that's 20 to 30 injured students you encounter weekly who aren't getting the help they need. Over 1 year, that's 1,000 missed opportunities to create genuine healing experiences. Each of those students represents not just lost potential impact, but lost potential income. Students who experience genuine healing in your classes don't just stay, they become your biggest advocates. They book privates, attend workshops, and refer friends dealing with similar issues. When you learn to work and talk to injured students, they stay in your classes long term. They book private sessions. They refer an average of 2 to 3 new students per year, and they attend specialized workshops and trainings because they trust you. Every week you refer injured students elsewhere, you're essentially saying, I can't help you, when the truth is you absolutely can. You just need the right tools. My system changes this completely. Instead of being the teacher who accommodates injuries, you become the teacher who helps them understand their pain and how to move in spite of it. Instead of feeling limited by what you can't do, you feel empowered by everything you can do. The question isn't whether you can afford to learn this framework. The question is, what's it costing you every single week to not use the tools you already have? You might think this sounds too complicated to learn. I get why it might seem overwhelming. A whole system sounds like a lot. But here's what's actually complicated. Flying blind every time an injured student enters your class, never knowing if what you're offering will help or harm, constantly feeling inadequate, and referring people elsewhere. My system actually simplifies everything. Instead of guessing what to do, you have a clear roadmap. Instead of hoping modifications work, you have systematic approaches that consistently create results. If you're thinking, I don't have time to implement all 5 components, don't worry. You don't implement all 5 components simultaneously. You integrate them gradually into your existing teaching. Week 1 might be as simple as explaining to students why their bodies feel protective. That's nervous system education. Component 1. In week 2, you add on therapeutic breathing technique. That would be component number 3. The beauty is that each pillar enhances what you're already doing rather than adding more to your plate. You're teaching with more intention and effectiveness and not doing more work. Some teachers think, what if I explain something incorrectly? This fear assumes you need to be a medical expert to provide basic education about movement and nervous systems, and you don't. The components of this framework are designed to be simple, accurate, and well within the scope of movement teachers. You're not diagnosing conditions or providing medical advice. You're explaining how breathing affects pain perception, how nervous systems respond to injury, and how movement can support healing. These are fundamental concepts that every movement educator should understand and be able to explain to students. I've spoken to teachers who say, this seems like it's outside of my scope of practice. Every component of this system is absolutely within the scope of movement educators, teaching breathing techniques that affect nervous system regulation, providing education about how movement supports healing, guiding progressive movement experiences, teaching awareness and movement re-education techniques, and implementing appropriate physical challenges. You're not diagnosing, treating, or providing medical advice. You're doing exactly what movement teachers are supposed to do, just doing it more systematically and effectively. The truth is, the most effective healing work with injured students happens in the space between medical treatment and daily life. And that's exactly where yoga teachers operate. Here's an easy way to understand this. You have 2 students with identical knee injuries. The first student received excellent medical care, surgery, physical therapy, medication. And after 3 months of medical treatment, her knee function was restored to about 85%. but she remained afraid of movement, avoided activities she loved, and lived in constant fear of re injury. The second student received the same medical care, but also worked with a yoga teacher who understood how to implement my system. Not only did her knee function return to 100%, but she developed confidence in her body, learned self regulation tools, and returned to all her favorite activities. The difference wasn't medical care, that was identical. The difference was that the second student had someone who understood how to work with the psychological, emotional, and nervous system components of injury recovery. This is where you, the yoga teacher, movement educator, excel. Medical professionals have 15-minute appointments focused on tissue healing. Yoga teachers have ongoing relationships focused on the whole person. My system doesn't compete with medical care, it complements it. You're not trying to fix injuries, you're helping people heal their relationship with their bodies and movement. When you understand this distinction, everything changes. You're not overstepping your scope, you're fully stepping into it. You're not trying to be a medical professional, you're being the movement educator that injured students desperately need. The myth that you need medical training to help injured students has kept thousands of capable teachers from providing support that could transform lives. The truth is, you need the right framework, the right understanding, and the confidence to apply what you already know in service of healing. It's time to completely reframe how you think about working with injured students, from injured students are challenging and complicated that require special accommodations and medical expertise I don't have, to injured students are opportunities to facilitate profound healing experiences using the comprehensive skill set I can develop as a movement educator. Think of healing from injury like building a house. Medical professionals provide the foundation. They address acute issues, structural problems, and immediate safety concerns. Physical therapists frame the house. They restore function and rebuild strength. But who creates the home? Who makes it livable, sustainable, and nurturing? That's where yoga teachers come in. You're the interior designers of healing, creating environments where people can truly thrive in their bodies long term. Instead of seeing yourself as separate from medical care, see yourself as part of an integrated healing team. You bring unique skills that medical professionals can't provide: time and relationships, holistic approach, group support, education focus, and mind-body integration. When you shift the way you think about teaching injured students, you stop saying, here's a prop for your injury, and start saying, let's understand how your nervous system is responding and work with it systematically to create safety and healing. Now, let me walk you through the components of my system that's transforming how yoga teachers work with injured students. These 5 components work together as an integrated system to address healing that traditional yoga teacher training misses. Component 1 is nervous system education. This is your foundation. Most injured students have no idea why their bodies feel protective, why pain persists, or why they feel afraid of movement. Basic nervous system education changes everything. When you learn how the nervous system ebbs and flows, the different states of the nervous system and why they're all necessary, and how to help students move between the states of their nervous system, you're helping students understand themselves. Component 2 is pain science education. Students with chronic pain often have catastrophic beliefs about their condition. When you're educated in pain science, it helps you transform these beliefs with your students and empowers them to become partners in their healing. You're teaching how pain works, why chronic pain develops, the difference between hurt and harm, how movement can reduce pain, and why pain doesn't always equal tissue damage. Component number 3 is therapeutic breathing, or pranayama. This is your most powerful immediate tool. Specific breathing techniques can reduce pain perception, regulate nervous systems, and create safety in real time. Are you teaching pranayama in your classes? Do you understand the connection between breathing and the vagus nerve and the nervous system? When you understand that these are connected, you understand how something as simple as pranayama can be a great technique in helping students with pain and injuries. Component number 4 is movement re-education. Injured students often develop compensatory movement patterns and fear-based limitations. Movement re-education helps them rediscover natural, efficient movement while rebuilding confidence in their body's capabilities. Breaking down yoga poses, changing their orientation, focusing on joint control, all help students learn to reconnect to movement in their bodies. You're a yoga teacher, which means you're a teacher of movement. So you understand that it's important to understand how the human body moves. You're teaching them how to move with awareness, recognizing and changing compensatory patterns, rebuilding confidence in body capabilities, understanding the difference between protective tension and beneficial challenge. Finally, component number 5 is progressive loading. A gradual introduction of appropriate challenges helps students rebuild capacity without triggering protective responses. This component is crucial for long-term healing and preventing re-injury. Understanding the importance of progression versus regression in movement will make all the difference when you're teaching students how to move with pain and injuries. These aren't 5 separate techniques, they're components that work together. They create understanding and reduce fear, provide immediate regulation tools. They rebuild functional movement patterns and systematically increase movement capacity. Initially, you don't need to teach all of these components in one class, but because I do this all the time, here's my flow. When a student comes into my class with chronic shoulder pain, here's some of what I do. Ask questions, and if they've been diagnosed. Throughout class, I might pepper in information on nervous system education and explain why they might feel overly protective of their shoulder. I teach pranayama to help them learn to regulate their nervous system in real time, and I guide them through movement re-education to help their shoulder connect to and remember natural movement patterns within ranges that are appropriate for them. If you're thinking, what if I implement this system and somehow make someone worse? What if I'm overstepping my boundaries? Or what if I'm not qualified to do this work? I felt exactly the same fear when I first started using these approaches. Every time I explained pain science or taught therapeutic breathing, I wondered if I was going too far. But here's what a decade of implementation has taught me. These approaches are inherently safe. You're teaching people about their bodies and how they work. When you explain how nervous systems work, you're not providing medical treatment, you're providing education that empowers students to understand their own experiences. When you teach pranayama, you're not prescribing treatment. You're teaching a fundamental life skill that every human benefits from learning. When you guide movement re-education, you're not rehabilitating injuries. You're helping people move more efficiently and with greater awareness. When students don't understand how their bodies work, they make fear-based decisions that often make their conditions worse. When they don't have tools for nervous system regulation, they remain stuck in cycles of hypervigilance that perpetuate pain. When they don't understand progressive loading, they either avoid all challenge, leading to deconditioning, or push too hard, leading to setbacks. The way you protect yourself isn't by avoiding helping students, it's by helping them within appropriate frameworks. Document your educational approach, stay within movement education boundaries, and refer to medical professionals when appropriate. Every teacher I've taught this system to tells me the same thing. I wish I learned this years ago. It made me a better teacher for everyone, not just injured students. Your fear will decrease as your competence increases. Once you have systematic approaches that consistently help people, confidence becomes natural. The question isn't whether you're qualified to help. The question is whether you're willing to become qualified. So here's a choice you need to make, and it's not really about learning a framework, it's about deciding who you are as a teacher. You can continue being a teacher who accommodates injuries with modifications and props. Keep feeling helpless when injured students walk into your classes. Keep referring them elsewhere and wondering why you can't build the therapeutic focused practice you dreamed of. Or you can become a comprehensive movement teacher who uses this system to create genuine transformation in injured students' lives. So the next time an injured student comes to your class, ask yourself, am I going to be the teacher who offers a prop and hopes for the best? Or am I going to be the teacher who has systematic approaches that create healing experiences? This system isn't theoretical, it's practical. Every component can be implemented starting in your very next class. The question is whether you're going to learn these approaches systematically or continue improvising and hoping for the best. If you're ready to stop feeling limited by what you don't know and start feeling empowered by what you can learn, then I invite you to explore my Teaching Students with Injuries mentorship program. This is where I teach yoga teachers the system with detailed implementation strategies, ongoing support, plus anatomy education, recovery strategies, and sequencing strategies. Your injured students are waiting for someone who truly understands how to help them systematically and effectively. The question is, will there someone be you? If this sounds exactly like the work you want to commit to, schedule a strategy call with me and let's see if you're a teacher I can help. The link is in the description below.